show. Of course, our next guest, mate, has been around basketball nearly as long as Jesus was alive, mate.
He's got a retired shirt. I love people with retired shirts. Yeah, they retired one of your shirts.
Scotty Ninnis, we're talking about, our special guest. Scotty, how are you?
Good, thanks, boys. Yep. They did. They retired my singlet at the 36ers for about 3 months, and then they unretired it when Martin Catalini came back from Spain.
Right?
So, singlet is retired at South Adelaide, though.
At South Adelaide.
That's
I know
that's
it's
nice.
South Adelaide. I know it was, but it always intrigues me about retired shirts. Because what happens, if you retire 4 or 5, all of a sudden you haven't got any numbers left.
No, I've got plenty of numbers now, mate.
I do have a quick story for you. They retired Phil's number 6 singlet at Canberra when we went back there when Phil came back and played for the 36ers.
Yep.
We proceeded to get beaten by about 32,
yeah,
I think, on that
really
night.
Good.
So wasn't the greatest memory,
No,
but
it wasn't a real good memory.
Very special.
Mate, but I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, good stuff.
Hey, mate, let's talk about this year with South Adelaide, of course, for you. South have battled away, and Scotty came in first year as coach. There was an expectation maybe they'll make the finals, and of course they've gone on to win it. And well done, beating Woodville in the final, mate. At the start of the year, could you see that it may be there at the end of the year?
I had no idea. It's been 18 years since I coached at that level, 12 years since I coached at any level. So I guess my ambition going back was to get the team into the finals, as you said. So it's been a long time between drinks at South Adelaide. 14 years since we've made the finals, 25 years since we won a championship. So being my junior club that I played most of my life with, or all my life with, basically, I just wanted to go back and get them in the finals every year, basically, and then once in a while you jag one.
Yep.
And that happened in the first year, so incredibly special.
So what drew you back in there, mate? Because it's a long time to be out of the game, and every time I saw you on social media or whatever, you had a glass of red in your hand. So you didn't look like to me like you were going to coach anywhere. So.
Yes, that still happens a fair bit, Bez, but...
There's more glasses now with coaching, mate. I remember that.
Something's got to have dragged you back in
well,
there.
the fact that it was South Adelaide. So I started playing for South when I was 11 years old. I played my last game of basketball there when I was 33 years old. They've asked me a couple of times along the journey, and I've always said to anyone that's asked me, the only job that I would be interested in doing was going back and coaching South Adelaide senior men. So, they've asked me a lot of times. I felt that this was it. I was either going to do it or I was going to stay retired from coaching forever. Sure. So, a little bit of I guess, had time. A little bit of a global pandemic hurt my business. So I had a bit of time on my hands. So just the timing was perfect.
I mean, there's only one other bloke that's done it, that's played at South and then gone on and coached. That was Don Shipley. So we're talking it's a long time between drinks. So, again, the interesting scenario is a lot of people like Shippy, some didn't, but he was a great club man. Clearly, mate, you're on the same path. It's important to note that Ninny's dad played as well. Yeah. So there's a long line at South Adelaide. How long does the line go for now, mate?
Yeah, look, it was. All that's right. Don't worry, Shippy's told me that he was the other one, and him and Ken Cole were at the game when we beat Woodville in the championship game, and went up 10 minutes after we won, and Shippy goes, well, you still got more to catch up to me. So that was with no congratulations. It was just that was the comment. But the fact that Dad played for South Adelaide in those great teams with Michael Armatt and Scott Davey and the Whitford brothers and that, it's disappointing he wasn't here to see it. Incredible. For me to wear number 9 for South Adelaide that my dad wore, to see that singlet hanging up in the rafters now, and to go back and win a championship is, I've been very, very fortunate enough to be involved in a lot of successful teams. Most of them with you, Phil, but this one's right up there because of the connection with the club.
Yeah. So when did you think that we're a chance here, we can win this thing? When did that happen?
Look, I think I missed a game with COVID, and we lost to Woodville at home, ironically, and we were 17 up in the second quarter, and my assistant coach, Graham Cubate, another ex-36er, he missed the game as well, so my poor oldest second assistant coach, and they lost, and they, defensively, everything that we talked about all year just went to water. So it'd be fair to say that I came in with a big stick the first training, and we set some non-negotiables from that point forward, and there was a noticeable change. We then went in to beat North Adelaide on their court by 30 odd, and you could just see that change as far as we got a pretty good team here, and we were unbelievable on the road. We only lost 2 games on the road for the whole year. Not that we have long road trips, obviously, but there was just a belief. We had the 2 best imports in the league, which certainly helped. But there was just a grittiness, a desire that we were never out of games. We had a mentality that there was a bit of nastiness in a good way about this group that is hard to get collectively.
Yeah. And you need it.
When you talk to coaches, mate, it's in the sell. I mean, you've got to have a product to sell and you've got to have some talent, but there's something that you're selling that they've got to buy into. Yeah. And it sounds like at that moment, hit them with a stick, these are our non-negotiables.
Yep.
And now we've got buy-in. And sometimes it's hard to get the whole group to buy in. So
absolutely.
Clearly winning helps all of that.
Yep.
For you, when did you start thinking, okay, there's a time to be hard, there's a time to be nice, there's such an array of stuff?
My wife said about 2 months before the end of the season that you're not going to lose another game. And I told her to be very quiet and not mention that to one of my players because I didn't want him getting ahead of herself. And she was almost right.
Yep.
We played North Adelaide at home, and Alex Starling, one of my imports, and Jared Hoppo, one of my best Aussies, both missed a game with COVID, and we lost that game. And that was the only game we lost until the finals. We lost to Woodville in the second round of the finals. So she was almost right. I won't. Well, she's going to see this, so yes, I don't say that all that often, but we got on a roll.
Because she told me she's never wrong.
Yeah, she tells me the same thing.
Okay,
but no,
sorry,
Rebecca. We did. We got on a roll, and you could see the belief come in, and we started beating teams comfortably that we'd lost to in the first round. We had some big wins against Forrestal, who were the benchmark and are every year, with Daniel Johnson playing for them. And there was a belief that came in that anything was possible. We got to that championship game, and I thought we could win, and I thought we could win well. I didn't think we were going to win by 30 points, but there was a belief in this group that is, if you could bottle that up and channel that, you'd be pretty happy with yourself.
Did you doubt yourself at all, mate? You said you've been out of it for 12 years.
Absolutely.
But you've been around it. I mean, you were always at the games and you were watching it, so it's not like 12 years never saw any more basketball. Was there a...
Well, it sort of was in a way, because, I mean, the first 5 or 6 years, I didn't want anything to do with the sport, like getting sacked publicly in this environment. I wanted the 36ers to lose every game, it'd be fair to say, for a few years. So it did take a while to get in and get back in. And Brett Maher and myself are now back with the club running their holiday camps and school clinics. And, you were asked to do that as well with us. And I think the fact we'd had a good portion out of the game made it easier. We actually came back and enjoyed it. But I doubted myself because I didn't know the players of my own team, let alone the players we were playing against. I had confidence in what I was bringing in, but even the stuff we're doing defensively, was the stuff I was doing with the 36ers in 2010. That's not really done now. Like, it's all this packed defence and all this stuff that I don't necessarily agree with. So, we had to get guys to buy into something that they haven't done for years or never done in some cases. So it worked. We were the best defensive team in the competition, and that was statistically. And that's what I hung my hat on, which, ironic, because some people say I didn't play a lot of defence during my playing career. But
a bit unfair.
A bit harsh but fair, yeah. But so getting guys to buy into something that they hadn't done before. Offensively, we went great. We were fortunate to have Jeremy Smith, who was the leading scorer in the competition, who bailed us out a few times. But I had a lot of doubt, absolutely.
30 points. There'd be a period there at the end of the game where we've won this. That's got to be a great feeling for a coach.
I can relate it to Phil's first year in 1998 when we beat the who were they then? The South East Melbourne Magic, I think, and we won 90-62 or something like that. To be able to enjoy that last quarter is something special, because it doesn't very, very rarely, if ever, happens. So to be able to enjoy the moment, to be able to get the guys who hadn't played much at all during the year, get them onto the court for the last couple of minutes.
Perfect.
And just take a deep breath was very special. But like I said, I didn't think that would ever happen. But we our momentum went like that, and just everything came together at the right time.
Yeah, well, just so you know, mate, you've won one now. They expect you to win the next one, and then you're now a step closer.
I thought about dropping the microphone and just walking out the door, mate, and just never to be seen ever again, because it's pretty hard to top from here, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. Of course, a bit more time with Premium Wine Tours, of course. Mate, just quickly before you go, the 36ers, of course, they've started the season, lost one, won one. They look like they're pretty talented. The expectation on the back of beating Phoenix over there is pretty high. How do you see them?
Yeah, look, they've got a lot of talent, there's no question. I was interviewed after the first game against the Jack Jumpers that they lost, and I said then that it was they were playing against a team, and we're trying to become a team. You know, the roles are still trying to be worked out. There is a lot of talent there, but you know, you always thought it was going to be a bit of a letdown after, you know, last week you're playing and beating the Phoenix Suns. Now you're back home. You know, you've got that plane flight back. There was always going to be a bit of a letdown, but they certainly have some talent. They've got some size. I think that's the thing that, you know, Brett Murray and myself at our first clinic with them noticed. You know, the smallest guy is 6'4". Yep. You know, there's size, there's talent, there's athleticism. It is going to take a while though, but you know, they should be. They should be something pretty special this year.
All right, if they fail, Ninny will be coaching them next year. That's nice. That's what happened. Well done on what you've done with South Adelaide. Fantastic. Well done, fruit to be your club too. Brilliant, mate. And need to go to the Barossa. You need any wine tours, get on the internet, Premium Wine Tours. You'll get the best tour in South Australia. Stay with us.